will set up a little bit. Okay, here. Okay, like that. Is it clear or not? Let's see. How is the light? How it is? Oh, this is much better. Okay. Oh, Konstantin, hello. This was a quick chat. Do you have a good sound? Звук есть, Константин? Oh, okay. The sound is good. Hello to everyone. Where are you from? I am actually I was born in Kazakhstan, and later I lived in Greece, and now I'm living in Netherlands. So I just wanted to connect with our channel because it's since a long time before that we did such, let's say, live again. So at the moment, I was planning to do something really interesting with the simulator that we have, but for some reason, my computer it's really slow on that, and it's really nice simulator, a 3D simulator, which shows a tanker, shows the exact structure. We can see the IGS plant and all the things. But I will try to show it to you. Later on, I will make some records, and it will be really interesting to see it together and run through the simulator. It will be a little bit slow, but anyway, we can see some of the things. Did you know you're Greek until I saw a video in Greek language about propeller pitch? Thank you very much. Yes, that's true. That's true. That's not in all my videos. I am talking in Greek. But in general, this is the language that sometimes we use. We can use also Russian, Greek, or even English. But mostly, yes, the channel is on English. If you have any questions, we can run through. I will run through some of the questions that I had on the channel this week. So there is a question of if I can share how to make out or disconnect the connecting route. Mostly of the time, okay. What about boilers and auxiliary engine pulses? For the boilers, I will continue today. I will make a video for the next, let's say, chapter of that boilers. For the auxiliary engines, I have prepared a lot, but it will be necessary to make a much more bigger preparation. And let's see, for the boilers, we stayed, the last video was lesson 2, if I'm right. So there is already 2 videos, about 2 hours. Just imagine how long is it. And I believe it will be more 4 or 5 videos more, or 6 even. I know that auxiliary engines are really important, and that is true. So we will do also that, but you have to have in your mind that things in the industry will be changed, as we have seen a lot of changes in the meantime that I was also on board, and we have to adapt to that changes, and that is really important. So whatever new comes to the industry, we have to look it, at least to learn some basics, and later move on and build all that knowledge. Στείλε χαιρετίσματα στα ελληνικά μας τώρα. Πολλά χαιρετίσματα σε όλους που μας βλέπουν από την Ελλάδα και όσους Έλληνες βρίσκονται σε όλο τον κόσμο. Purifier height adjustments for alpha Laval purifier. What I did, what I did before any overhauling, and what I also propose to you before you dismantle something, just measure it and have that kind of measurement. At least if you even do not find any measurement in the book, you will have some reference. And this is one of the good points for the engineer. And engineering can be also, let's say, um, on theory, but this is a more practical engineering, and this is what we are making on board. Okay, we can talk about diesel generators. That's true. One of the things that I was always be careful because I got a lot of problems with diesel generators. And as you know, on board we have three of them or four, depends the vessel type or the size of the vessel. It can vary from various, let's say, loads. It can be small, it can be bigger, more than 1000 kilowatts. So they're really, really important because they are supplying us with the power which is necessary to power all the auxiliary equipment. I have faced some problems when we just left with one diesel generator and we had to have at least two of them because one will be redundancy in case something happened. Just imagine we left with one generator. Okay, we had the emergency generator, we had one generator, but anyway, it's not enough if something will be necessary to use. So always verify that your auxiliary engines are reliable and you are able to work them anytime because the demand of energy from the grid and supplying all your equipment must be necessary and must be ready in any time in, and also in any case because you're at the sea environment and sea environment changes really dramatically through the travel of the vessel. So let's say you have started from one point and yesterday you will be almost 400 miles away from that point. So also the conditions will be changed, the climate will be changed, the weather can change, and you need to be prepared for everything. So diesel generators, one of the crucial part which is really important to be careful is the filtering and the filter equipment. Uh, as all that fuel that we are provided for the feeding and supply of our auxiliary engines are important from the view of quality. So if the quality is bad, if we have bad filtering, we will have increased wear on the fuel pumps and our injectors. And this will affect the total effectiveness of the engines through the time. It will downtime of the maintenance and will increase also the emissions and will increase the spare amount that need to be used. About the performance of the auxiliary engine, we can say a lot. We can say that the performance must be take higher than 75% or from 75% and higher. So one of the most important things why we're making performance is to see and verify that the engine are working in tune in that range and also that we can reach a specific load for our engines. So in case that there is something wrong, you'll be able to determine in early stage and it will be visible if your engine has a problem or there is a problem in general with the engine. So that's why we're taking the performances. That's why we are making this test to see and verify that everything is working properly and we do not have any damage or let's say that we can meet and achieve the load of the vessel, of the auxiliary engine. So this is one of the main and general goals of why we're making the performance. The next step is to identify if our engine is tuned, if the pressures are proper, if the indicating pressure, the maximum pressure are fine. The mean pressure is the mean pressure for all the cylinder. So it's, let's say, a somehow a average pressure. The Pmax pressure is the maximum pressure that can be achieved in the cylinder, and the Pmax pressure is measured after our mixture has ignited. We have also the compression pressure when our cylinder compress the mixture, and there also we can determine some things. What we need to verify on our engine that all the pressures as much as possible equal. It is really really difficult to do that, but with the proper maintenance and with the proper calibration of the equipment and measurements, you will have to set as much as possible a small offset between of the cylinders. It cannot be in theory it can be, let's say, exact the difference, but in the practice there is a lot of things to consider, and that's why we have these differences and some kind of small imbalance. The imbalance will be always present there. There is a lot of factors because you are never know that all your equipment are in perfect condition. You do not have also a perfect wear on the pumps, and a lot of things must be taken really really carefully, how the maintenance are done, which part and which hours are already complete your fuel pumps or your fuel injectors. So everything must as much as possible to keep in record in track, so you will have as much as possible a better adjustment and better understanding of your engine. So I can say that it's a quite extensive process of monitoring and keep your engine reliable through the time, because as the engine start to run, as you make your maintenance, there is a countdown for the next maintenance, and this is how the engineer should be prepared for the next month. So the maintenance is a ongoing process, which you must be already prepared from the previous, let's say, overhauling or maintenance. It's really difficult to do that, so that's why I'm telling the 4 months being on board is the good limit, and there the person can perform their own as much as possible. This is the best timing for being on board, and also you will not be burned through the work and through the routine of the work itself. Some of the chief engineers, yes, that's true. They like to adjust the fuel racks. A lot of books says that it's not necessary to touch that one because otherwise you can make a balance to your engine, but also you can make a disbalance. It's not always a proper way. Some of the Varchila manufacturing book says that in any case you do not need to touch the fuel racks or uh, increase the shim size. Yes, that's true. It's not correct. That's not true. If you have to do such adjustments, okay, you can make some small adjustments from, let's say, from zero point 0.5 to 1 millimeter, which is a fine adjustment, let's say, but not more than 2 millimeters. Which shows that something's wrong with the pump. So maybe the suction valves are wrong, maybe the piston and the plunger are worn, and it can be also It can be also, let's say, um, yes, for 10 degrees, let's say minus 10 plus 10 degrees, okay, that is fine, but you cannot only make a estimation of how your engine is working only from the exhaust gases. So it's really, really important that you have the pressure, as you see all the diagrams with the pressures and the degrees of the ignition and all that, and then you can rely on the degrees of the exhaust gases. So even 30 degrees or 40 degrees between the cylinders, and I believe from my experience, 50 degrees even, it's not a big deal. But the most proper is that your balance of your engine and the load balance that you have from the pressure, it's as much accurate as possible than the exhaust temperature. Exhaust temperature, it's really, really necessary for the turbocharger efficiency, and there is also limits which need to take in consideration, because if you exceed the limits, let's say for the exhaust gases, it can affect also the turbine. It can melt the um, let's say turbine side, or can affect the metals of the turbine, or even you can get some surging on the turbine if you exceed such limits. So we basically have to be in the working limits. If we are there and we are inside the recommendations, that is fine. We do not have to worry about that. And also we can see, we can hear how our engine perform, how it works, if there is any disbalance. And what you can do also is to look at a engine which is, let's say, in good condition. For sure, three of the engines will be, one of them will be in good condition, and you can just stay there, observe, listen how the engine works, and compare with the one that you have the problem. You can do it also with another equipment and other pumps. Just observe, because most of the equipment are redundancy, and check what is the differences. Eh, but the most important thing is, please tell why board we have just fuel, right? Because of different way of. Yes, that's true. The fuel quality it's really really bad. So the clearance between the piston and the plunger start to increases, and the amount that the fuel pump delivers reduces. So that you have to adjust this fuel rack to set to and send a higher amount of fuel. But as you're doing that, as you adjust a cylinder basis on the exhaust gases and not knowing what exactly happened in the pressure of the cylinder inside, you can make the engine unbalanced and not so stable. Yes, that's good. That's good. Skersky said that follow maker instructions and check the C trial. C trial also it's really important because it shows a lot of information about the fuel pumps. They can show also the shim number of the fuel plunger that is going underneath the fuel plunger, and you just have a reference. And also, that is good that if there is a history behind, let's say, of each overhauling or each maintenance, you can see what kind of jobs are made, and if the plunger was actually replaced or just cleaned and put back. I have seen we had an engine, for example, with six cylinders, and only five of them was replaced completely with the plunger or no, and the sixth was remained the same, only was clean. But in this case, it's not so good. Let's say um, action, because you have five of them new and one it is old one. So the other engineers will be face problem, and also maybe they are not aware of that some of the, let's say, pumps are old. So it's better to change all of them, so you will have a better track and better understanding of what is going on. Pressure was higher than the limit. It can be from a wrong adjustment, that's true. It can be also that your, let's say, fuel valve leaking. It can be a lot, but when we are making the maintenance, we have to verify that all the steps that we are doing are proper. So give time to yourself. Let's say you are making the fuel valves, you are making the fuel pumps, you are making, let's say, some of them. Just verify that all the stages that you are completed are proper, are functioning, and that's how you will eliminate something to happen. So after your checks, you are verified that you're doing is correct, and then you have to move to another stage and chapter of the overhauling. Would you advertise Marine Channel server? Which one? Which Marine Channel server? What kind of channel is that, Vladimir? Please tell me. About VIT, the VIT, it's a very old system, which in nowadays mostly it's used in the conventional engines. What it makes, it change the time of the injection. So actually it stands for variable injection timing. So this was made that from specific range, let's say from the low load to some specific load, you will have a adjustment of the injection. And how will it affect? It will be affect only on the fuel pump, a barrel. It will turn and reduce the length of the barrel. So that is all. That is how it works. And depends how much fuel will be injected, the engine will respond. It is specifically adjusted. You have to watch out for the pressure on the gauges if it's not changes, or if you have some instabilities on the pressure, because it can be also that you have wrong adjusted VAT. You can monitor, there is a specific rack, there is separate rack, and you can monitor how much VAT in specific load. But mostly the VAT, as I have seen and as I have observed from the start of the engine, it goes and give it, let's say, more reduction of the injection that it's normally will do with conventional without the VAT. So it will reduce little bit the injection amount, so the engine will be go much more smoother than the conventional without the VAT. And then slowly will give, let's say, you will need some advance of the timing a little bit, because as the engine speed ups, the movement of the piston is much more quicker. The injection also will be initiated much more quicker, so you will need to be a little bit in advance of the injection. It's not something we're talking about the VIT, but we are not really, let's say, feeling sometimes that kind of equipment. So it's not something really, let's say, incredible in general. So even without the VAT, your engine will be work. And in the event of the failure, your engine will be work. For the adjustment, okay, maybe it will make it more specific or more difficult to do, but it's not something a big deal. And yes, it's not recommended to adjust, because actually there is some of the things that it's necessary to be careful when we're adjusting the fuel injection, um, let's say amount, also timing, we change all the parameters of the engine itself. So in some time, you can change also the load through the pistons and load on the engine itself. So as we know, whatever load we're giving to our engine, it will respond later on to our crankshaft and main bearings. And this is why we need to keep our engine balanced and as much as possible the pressure to be distributed through the cylinders equally as much as possible to not get this kind of problems to the main bearings and any, let's say, turning or misalignment of the crank shaft. So one of the things also is that in the fuel injection timing of the pump, when we change the rack distance, we will change also the range of operation of the engine. So for example, let's say we have adjust 2 millimeters more. When the engine will work on the 80%, the load will be different completely. So you change the complete range of all your engine, how it must be operated in the 75% or in 85%. It will be different because you already adjust a higher amount of the supply of the fuel. And this will change also the timing. When you are installing the new fuel pump, you just filling everything to zero. You set all the pumps to the zero. You check also your main rack. You test it. You press to see if everything is moved freely, everything in zero, and then you are making your adjustments. But if you're making overhauling of the fuel pumps, for sure you will check for the timing with the mirror and the light. We have make such videos here in the channel. You can see how we make this kind of adjustment. It's already here. And slowly, slowly, yes, you start to adjust the engine. You run the engine for the first time without load. You check, you make some checks with pressure transmitter. You collect the information, the data. You align your engine without load. And then you start, after you align without load, you start to give load, let's say 100 kilowatts or 250 kilowatts, just to see how your engine step up in front. And also, yes, that's true. If we adjust the rack too much, it will be difficult for the engine to stop. After a blackout, when main engine is working, the ship has some momentum. The crankshaft still rotating after blackout, like 10 minutes without low pumps. How does it don't scratch the bearings in this situation? Yes, in this situation, there is still available pressure in, let's say, in the lines, and also most of the engines have a specific tank close to the turbocharger or a little bit above, which is called the gravity tank. And if the engine is stopped, there will be some additional supply from there. But generally, yes, it will not damage because the amount of the oil is a lot. There's still pressure, some pressure, or at least there's some oil going through the lines, and this will keep everything protected. The Discord server is at his last development sends and tests. We're also looking for a professor for special role. It will be also a huge pleasure to have you and get some suggestions from you. Yes, sure, sure, it will be nice. Thank you. You can send the message to the channel or to my email. Here, I'm always glad to be connected. Let's see here. One moment. Do, 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 do. Let's see if I have already attached my email. You can write to me in the Instagram or here in the channel in the community tab. And I believe also somewhere I have my email here. Okay. Too much, and she decided to adjust rack too much. When we got load, suddenly we had blackout due to frequency. Yes, it can be a lot of things related with the fuel pumps of the diesel generator, but we have to make it clear that is the adjustments that we do, and this is what we have to keep. He's asking about the main bearing. Yes, also the main bearing will have enough oil to support, because still it's a lot of oil. You can try it when you have your engine stop. You just switch off your, let's say, okay, you leave your engine to cool down for 20-30 minutes, so there will not be any vapors created. But just in the port after 1 hour, just what you can do, you can stop your mainable pump and see if and open the door, yes, and see how much still oil coming there. It's really, really low, but it's their gravity tank. Yes, for sure, they will spray some oil, but it's okay. Some oil will not make anything. So, dear friends, thank you very much. Thank you that you stayed today. In blackout situation, yes, I will make a live event for that one. We will stay all together. I will make it in advance. So what we need to do and how to move in the blackout situation and what happens. Thank you again. Thank you that you joined today for this quick engage in the channel. Thank you very much. And see you in the next time. I hope that we will make more such live streams and we get more connection between us in such a good way with the questions, and it makes it more live and more interactive with us. So watch the videos. The previous videos are really good, have a lot of information, and I will try to provide you more information, but mostly now for the tankers, because this is kind of vessels which is more specific. They need a lot of things to be done from the safety wise, and also uh, from the operation side. So we have both efficiency and maximize um, the safety through all the procedures and the operations. Thank you again. Don't forget to join our next sessions from Adventure Story Channel. Bye bye. Thank you all.